Rufus Pollock, economista e pesquisador da Universidade de Cambridge, se interessa por propriedade intelectual e modelos abertos de inovação. Além disso, Rufus também estuda com as ferramentas da economia o bem-estar e a felicidade. Ele é um dos criadores da Fundação do Conhecimento Aberto, que desde 2004 promove o compartilhamento de informações. Qualquer tipo de informação, seja um soneto, genes, um dado estatístico, tudo que puder ser livremente usado, reutilizado e redistribuído. Rufus, what is the relation of open data and open knowledge?
Open knowledge is just a kind of catch-all term for content, data, information. Obviously, sometimes there's an idea that data is raw and then it gets processed into information and then into knowledge. But the term open knowledge, as we use it at the Open Knowledge Foundation, is just a general term for all kinds of data, content, information that's open, free for anybody to use, reuse, and redistribute.
Do you think that intellectual property can be an obstacle to open knowledge?
Well, fundamentally, intellectual property, i.e. monopoly rights in particular pieces of information, are obviously the antithesis normally of open content, open data, open knowledge. So they can definitely be an obstacle. At the same time, you can have intellectual property and choose to license your material openly. So there's no necessary conflict, but if you have normal intellectual property, normal copyright or normal database rights and choose to assert them, obviously you're making the material not open.
You are a co-founder of an institute that's been around since, I think, 2004.
Yeah.
What is your evaluation about what has been happening in the world about this issue in the last 7 years?
Absolutely. So I was a co-founder of the Open Knowledge Foundation in 2004, and in that time we've seen obviously a huge change in the last 7 years, most notably around open data. I mean, the very fact this, you can see behind us, dados, abertos, and so on. It's really clear that the open data idea has really taken off in the last 2-3 years. We were obviously working on it from when we started, and that's really heartening. And I think it's only going to get bigger. In some ways, it's going to get so big it will just become normal. It will become the new normal, and that's part of our aim as the Open Knowledge Foundation. Our vision is of a world where open knowledge is ubiquitous and routine, and where it's being used every day to make our lives better in some way. Be that finding a better way to get to work, a better way to cure cancer, or just to be able to see what your government has spent your money on.
You also study well-being and happiness. Do you see any relation about well-being and happiness and open data?
Yeah, I do. I think there's something very interesting about the world, which is in some fortunate countries in the last 30-40 years have really reached a level of income, places like the United States or even the United Kingdom. They've got really extraordinary level of income by historical standards or even by the standards of some other countries. Yet we've seen that people, at least by when we ask them questions, don't seem to be any happier. They don't seem to enjoy higher levels of well-being. There's clearly a case that relatively lower levels of income, more money means more happiness. And so the interesting thing I think about data, open data and open knowledge, is about sharing. It's about collaboration. I think those are fundamentally activities that are positive for us. And when we're with friends, when we share things, when we work with others, it's a very rewarding and fulfilling experience. And so I think open data and open knowledge, it can be everything from sharing your own photos or reusing others' photos on something like Flickr, sharing it openly with an open license, to building an application or understanding what your government's doing. That's a rewarding experience. I think it's different from to typical experience that we might think kind of make us better. More money, a bigger house, a bigger car. So I think in that sense it is related to well-being. The sharing, it's kind of the rise, I call it the rise of the sharing economy rather than the material economy.
Okay, Rufus, thanks a lot, and have a nice Congress.
Thank you.